Now, a Christian family has had their appeal settled and a commitment from the government to transform or reform transgender policies in primary schools following a 5-year legal battle. Nigel and his wife Sally Rowe had taken action against the Department for Education after their 6-year-old son was labelled transphobic, 6 years old, I repeat, by a Church of England primary school for refusing to agree with trans-affirming policies. With me now are the parents in question, Nigel and Sally Rowe. First of all, thank you so much for joining me in the studio.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, how on earth can a 6-year-old be transphobic?
Exactly.
A 6-year-old doesn't have the cognitive ability to work those sort of things out, does it?
No.
And that's why this is so utterly ridiculous. But let's also just remember this was a Church of England school.
Okay.
And for me, the greatest tragedy is that the church affirmed this. And Justin Welby's, seeing children, I can't remember how he puts it, but valuing all God's children. Well, if we truly want to value all God's children, we certainly don't affirm these ideologies at such a young age. And it's really tragic. But thankfully, the government, specifically Suella Braverman, who is the Attorney General, she seems to be in agreement with us. So this is a wonderful turning point.
Yeah. And as Christians yourselves, I assume you sent your son to a Christian school thinking it would be biblically orthodox and promoting truth as you know it, as you understand it. Was that the case?
Absolutely. We are committed Christians. We believe in biblical truth. We believe that, for example, marriage between one man and one woman, that sort of thing. We believe that God created them male and female. In fact, Jesus himself said in Matthew 19, don't forget, I created them male and female, and how it all works together for society and culture. And the family is fundamental to a culture, the nuclear family. Of course, this is being destroyed and broken, and we're beginning to see, I think, the ramifications of that in the culture. But we as Christians believe that, no, a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. We don't deny the fact that there will be children that will suffer from gender dysphoria. There are those issues, and there are pathological issues that you can have. But fundamentally, we as Christians know that God created them male and female.
Right, and I want to speak on the kindness and compassion, because some people will be watching this thinking, that's very unkind. If a child wants to declare that they are transgender, then that's up to them, and we should affirm and support them. But surely there are other ways of supporting a child who's going through gender dysphoria. Surely there are other avenues to be compassionate.
Absolutely, and I think what we've actually collated lots and lots of evidence that if you affirm that child in a school setting, it's actually very damaging to even the child, let alone all the other children. It's very confusing. It's not the kind thing to do, and it can send them on a trajectory where they are taking puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, which makes them sterile, and then into surgery. And if all the trusted adults in their lives are affirming them, then they begin to believe that. And from the evidence, it is actually the loving thing to do, the caring thing to do is to do it outside the school setting, give them the one-to-one help. Often there is very, very good reasons why they're confused. It could be so simple as well.
Yeah.
And if that child gets the due care and attention that they need, often these things are ironed out.
Well, there are those like myself, Sally, who would say that putting a child on puberty blockers is child abuse because a child cannot change their gender, they can't consent, and they're not old enough to discern that yet. However, there will be people that will say, actually, no, that's fair enough, and they do feel like they are trans. That's an argument to be made. But in a Church of England school, when a 6-year-old identifies as a boy and doesn't necessarily understand that there's a different ideology, and he's promoting the Christian ideology that man made them male, God made them male, God made them female, and that God made them in his own image. If a child is promoting a Christian value in a Christian school, surely that should be acceptable even to the people that have a different perspective.
And that's why I think it causes distress to some children. For example, our children are brought up at home with Christian values.
Right.
And so therefore, when they go to school, they find they're in a battle. They're in a battle not only with, some teachers, but they're in a battle with other children who are coming out with a different ideology, if you like. And it makes it very difficult for children. I'm 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so young. What does a 6-year-old know? A child should a child at 6 at school should be learning maths, science, things, doing those things, playing, all those things. Do we really want to start pursuing these ideologies of transgenderism?
That's a battle of values, and at 6 years old, how do they decide whether it's the parents' values or the teachers' values that they take on board?
Indeed.
And surely that comes back to why you chose that particular school to send your child to, because you assumed they'd have your values.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Being a Church of England school, it's fundamentally should have a biblical foundation to everything, in fact.
Yeah, and I think this was the shocking thing. When we received the letter from the school, it was, you are transphobic, and we just thought, there's no support. We even contacted the local diocese and they showed no support either. And I think we were shocked when we did speak out about it, because we thought this needs to be clarified in law, and we need to be protecting young children. The church, on the whole, was silent, and some were even openly against us. And I think that's what we found so shocking and devastating.
Yeah.
It grieved us.
I'm sure that the local diocese would disagree with that, but if you're not getting support from the diocese, where can other Christians go? Like, if you're speaking to other parents right now and they're not getting support from their local priest or their bishop, where can they go?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
that is one of the problems. Where can they go? You see, ultimately, the church should be the bastion of a moral foundation, shouldn't it, in a society? And this is but even if in the secular world, I think they often have greater respect for people in the church who say, no, actually, we stand on these values. These are the biblical values we stand on. You may not agree with it, but these are the values that we stand with as Christians and in Christian schools.
But it wasn't rhetorical, Nigel. I mean, generally, where did you go for sport? Who did help you? What organisations can people reach out to? There will be many people across the country who's in a very similar situation.
It's a very lonely place. It is a very lonely place. And actually, many people we had had fellowship for years didn't support us. I think this was such a shock. However, there are pockets of Christians all around the UK and all around the world, and specifically, actually, the Christian Concern who supported us. They've been incredible, and I love them to bits.
Yeah.
And we found that it was nice to spend time with them because they understood biblical truth, and so it was very comforting. So we didn't feel alone anymore. And of course, they've been supporting us over the last 5-6 years over this case. It's been a long time.
We would encourage, actually, if anyone is in this similar situation, to contact them, because they stand all the way through. They're steadfast, they're supportive, they've been amazing support. They're like family to us now, aren't they?
They are.
They are. I can vouch for them. They're a fantastic organisation. They do a lot of good work. What's the current situation with your son's school?
We homeschool.
Okay.
We don't know exactly what's going in school, so we actually now homeschool. I think we've upset the education establishment, if not probably the Church of England as well. You know, the Department of Education, if you like, from the education side. So we're not particularly popular, but that's to be expected. You know, Jesus said, "Remember, when they hate you, they hated me first."
Yes, that's the quote I was trying to say earlier. Thank you.
You were.
Yeah. And actually, to encourage parents, homeschooling has been absolutely amazing for our boys. We're a part of a good community as well, and they have thrived, and it's been very fruitful for them. They're blossoming and growing, so it's been amazing.
We've got time for one short answer. Okay. Homeschooling is something I very much promote because you cannot rely on the schools not to have a political ideology these days. Where can parents go to if they want to start homeschooling their own children?
Pass on to Sally.
There's Chess, that are a good organisation. There's Classical Conversations. They're also very good organisations. There's a couple there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
God bless you both. That was parents Nigel and Sally Rowe. The Times reported last week that Whitehall officials said that guidance for schools on transgender issues is being developed by the department in conjunction with the Equality and Human Rights Commission, with a view to undertaking a public consultation on draft guidance.